Every time I hear it, all I want to do is Peter Griffin it.
Yep.
Two in a row.
Welcome.
I'm going to refrain. I will refrain from doing that tonight.
That's okay. Welcome back, folks. We're back here with our weekly dive into Marvel's Hawkeye with
The last one.
I know, but still, Fandom Power presents On Target.
Okay, and this time we're still on target.
I think so. I think we're right on target this time.
Sort of.
Well, pretty close.
For those of you who've been following along for the last 5 episodes, it's pretty much been you and I the whole, well, not the whole run, but almost the whole run.
Yeah.
Once again, we're missing one tonight.
Sans Hank, but he might come in.
His real world has him tied up tonight, so hopefully we'll see him bounce in here at some point tonight. But if we don't, well wishes to him, and
hopefully he gets his project for the day done.
Hope everybody had a Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, all the other holidays out there in the world that you may or may not celebrate. I hope you had a good time with your family.
Even with the state of the world.
Yeah, especially with the state of the world.
Yeah. Spoilers ahead. So, if you haven't seen that last episode of Hawkeye yet.
Get out. No, don't get out. Stay.
Stay with us. You'll get a pretty informed version of it. Or, go watch it and then come back later. But
sure.
This week's finale is titled So This Is Christmas.
So This Is Christmas.
Yeah, one of the saddest Christmas songs ever. Just sad.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean...
And it is an important message, though. Be happy with what you have, and even though things are terrible somewhere.
Yeah, that's the truth.
But
Myanmar's not doing so good right now.
Yeah.
Burma, another... bunch of civilians killed.
Damn.
Yeah, terrible time of the year for that too.
Not that any time is good for it, but
some comments rolling in here.
We already got a comment. And
what you talking about?
We're talking about Hawkeye.
We're getting right into Hawkeye here. We're just hoping that as you're joining with us tonight, we're covering our final episode of Hawkeye from Marvel Studios, currently streaming on Disney Plus. Wishing everybody happy holidays. And so let's get right into it.
Yeah. So like we said, it's titled So This Is Christmas. And it is the longest episode of the series by far, with a runtime of 62 minutes all in.
Does that include the post-credit scene?
It does.
Okay.
It does. It's directed by Rhys Thomas. And this one is written by Jonathan Igla and Elisa Clement. And we kicked the episode off with a really fast-paced previously on.
Yeah.
And we're right into it. No waiting, no messing around. It's been building for weeks, and we hear those thunderous footsteps entering into the building.
Yep.
And he's here.
Yeah, there was really no bandying around with that. It was just kind of like, okay. And what I really liked about this scene was they did nothing to hide it, like right down to the purple pants.
Yeah, and that's right out of the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, right? The white blazer, purple pants. And, Vincent D'Onofrio, he steps through that curtain and he's here. One
of the things about this episode, as we move along through, I just loved lots of camera trickery in this one.
There is
tons of camera trickery that just made Vincent D'Onofrio look just so immense and imposing and just
totally
towering over everybody that he shared a scene with. So I thought
he's supposed to be though.
Yeah.
He's a monster in the comics.
I mean, I always think of him. I know that. Would you consider? I guess. I mean, because of the influence that he holds, it puts him square in supervillain territory.
I would say so.
But in terms of like physical stature, I always sort of thought the Kingpin is sort of in the realm of like, Sam Wilson is like a normal human being who's like pushed to the peak of physical perfection. He's at the height of human performance. I always thought of like Wilson Fisk as being of a similar. I know he's not in shape. He doesn't fit the superhero, statuesque visage, but he's as strong as like just a normal dude could be without something extra.
Well, when you look at a lot of bodybuilders, like specifically weight trainers, they may not be as cut as Arnold at the Mr. Universe.
No.
But they can certainly lift a whole lot more.
Well, and therein, you make a great point. I mean, I've watched a ton of like strongman competition, and there are like none of those guys,
No,
they're not cut by any means.
no, they're all just bulk, mass, and power.
Yeah, I mean, the most famous, obviously, the Mountain from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a strongman competitor.
Yeah, but we find out really quickly here that he's meeting Kate's mom, and they're on pleasant terms at the beginning. And the weird thing about this interior, it doesn't really scream opulence like the building we saw her going into last episode does.
No,
So
not
is
really.
this like a separate meeting, or?
Well, I mean, even look at the background. I mean, look at the old tube TV, and what is
Yeah.
that? A VCR sitting there?
It seems more like
Yeah.
the latest hideout for the tracksuits.
Yeah.
But they sit down for their discussion. And one thing to point out here, there's assorted meat processing items around them. Like there's a meat hook in the
I noticed that there's a meat grinder on the desk.
Yeah. So, maybe this is like a meat processing plant, which,
I just thought that was a
dispose of your
subliminal.
enemies.
I thought that was a subliminal message to anybody he was meeting with, like,
Could be.
hey, you're in the chair, but you could be in the grinder.
Yeah. Because it's kind of funny, like all the Christmas decorations and then meat hooks. So anyway,
look at the way that's filmed. Like, it's almost like they've that forced perspective where she's farther away from the camera and he's like right up tight. But I mean, they've just gone out of their way and they've done such a good job at making him look just massive.
As hell. But the meeting, it remains fairly pleasant. And
yeah.
Maybe he just likes meat.
It is entirely possible that he may just like meat.
Well, at the very least, he needs his protein, right?
That's so true. Yes.
So the meeting, though, it's fairly pleasant at the beginning, and we find out that Kate's dad owed a small fortune to the Kingpin.
Yeah.
And she's been paying it back ever since the attack on New York. And she goes on, she's like, I've paid you back what I owe you like 10 times over. But Fisk is quick to point out, well, it's been a really good arrangement and you've done pretty well for yourself.
Yes.
And then we go on and get the reveal that it was Eleanor who murdered Armand.
Armand, yeah.
And she also framed Jack for Sloan.
We always said right from the beginning that she was kind of greasy, kind of up to something. And it's out now.
Yeah. And when she's saying this, she's really cold as can be for this. But then with the first bit of emotion, she tells Fisk, my daughter's back home and she's getting too close. So I'm drawing the line and I want out. But Fisk, he tells her, don't be rash.
Right.
But Eleanor doubles down and she goes on to tell him, I've been keeping an insurance policy involving like copies of records, incriminating evidence and whatnot.
Sure.
And it's in a safe spot. But, Fisk, who is visibly angered at this, states, because it's the holidays, I'll give you a chance to rethink what you're trying to start.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And she fires back, I don't need a minute.
I feel like even now, this early in the episode, like, I feel like she's a person that's, starting to show that she has in fact drank the Kool-Aid. Like there's no, the bishop's security, head of bishop security and single mom raising her daughter is kind of that was the, how they say like Batman is the man and Bruce Wayne is the
costume.
Yeah. Same kind of thing here. Like criminal Kate Bishop, criminal Eleanor she's, so deep into it that is who she is now.
It's quite possible.
Yeah.
Because her speech at the end kind of leaves you thinking that. But, she tells him she doesn't need a minute and says right then and there, I'm done.
Yeah.
And she gets up to leave, having threatened one of the most powerful crime bosses in the city. And you can see Wilson just twitching.
Well, I actually, watching the episode, I thought, oh, this is not going to go well for her.
No. Like, is it at all possible that she doesn't really grasp who she's dealing with? Because she's taking the situation pretty lightly.
Oh, yeah.
Considering, she has a lengthy paper trail. And if indeed this is the Kingpin from the Netflix series, he's no stranger to prison.
No,
so, he's not. We shift gears and we see that Kate has now received a video.
I don't know if you noticed this week, there was some mention from Kevin Feige on the connection to the Netflix shows.
I did not see that.
Pretty much to summarize, it is the same character. How they choose, if they choose to draw any more connections between those two properties remains to be seen. But the short answer is it's the same guy.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So Kate ends up receiving a video of the exchange that we just witnessed. And when Clint asks, who sent it, she tells him it's a Yelena. And Eleanor is the one who hired her. So, you get the little video and she's looking all concerned. But we don't know how far removed we are from last episode because, they're still staring at cell phone, but Grills is now absent from the table.
Yeah.
So, but it can't be too much further removed.
Yeah.
But Kate, she's clearly taken aback by this, citing, she doesn't even jaywalk.
No.
How can she be doing this?
Yeah.
So clearly she's got good secret keeping skills.
That cell phone image just, again, I'm just blown away with how effective they've got. To make him so imposing. Oh my God, it's incredible.
It is. But Kate determines, she's got to go talk to her. But Clint advises, you got to calm down first, talk this out, because Eleanor is going to need our help.
Yeah.
And Clint, he fully recognizes the threat that the Kingpin poses.
Yes.
And Kate says, it's my mess. You should go home, be with your family. And we get the final moment here. Like Clint firmly says, no, you're my partner.
That's a big turnaround for Clint coming from, you're not my partner. You never were.
Yeah.
I mean, let's analyze that a little bit more.
Well, I equate that to every moment in any movie where you have an animal that you have to get rid of, but you don't want to. And, you take it out to the woods and you say, get out of here, you stupid animal. I don't want nothing to do with you.
Yep.
I mean, even Harry and the Hendersons, right?
Right.
When, he didn't mean it, but he had to do it to get rid of her.
I think of this as being like, this is a huge step, not only for Clint, but also like how much that elevates the character of Kate Bishop. Because when I think of Clint Barton and partners, there's only one partner that, to my mind, that he's ever had.
Yeah.
And that's Natasha Romanoff.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that he now holds Kate Bishop in the same regard as Natasha?
I think so.
That's a huge step forward.
Yeah.
Huge.
And him saying that, it's enough to snap Kate out of it.
Yeah.
And he goes on, your mess is my mess, and I'm not going anywhere until we're taken care of. So, fully solidified partnership.
Yeah.
Across town, though, we jump a lot in this episode and really rapidly.
Like most of the things we review.
Yeah. But across town, we find Maya heading into that place with the beaded curtain, and place is decked out for Christmas. And inside, we find Wilson and Kazi sitting at a table.
Yes.
And let's get this out of the way right now. Hank, you'd mentioned, I know you're not here yet, but
wherever you are tonight, Hank.
Yeah, you'd mentioned off the air that you weren't a fan of the Tony Montana-esque looking.
The Hawaiian shirt.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Where is it here?
I know you and I talked about this earlier in the week.
Yeah, but it does have an actual comic book tie-in.
Yeah, it does.
And I seem to have misplaced my slide for it, but
that's okay.
Anyway, turns out the graphic novel Spider-Man Family Business is almost an identical suit.
Yeah, like wearing. Did you get the bare bones of that?
Yeah, basically
spends most of his time in like between Tunisia and somewhere else hot.
Yeah.
So basically swaps it out to a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah. Well, got another comment here. And we get shock.
I think that's the face.
There we go.
Oh my.
But in that graphic novel, we find out that Peter Parker has a long lost sister that he never knew about.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, named Teresa Durand. And it also adds extra elements to Parker's parents' backstory as well.
Right.
Lots of spy stuff, espionage type stuff. And, it's a good book. Give it a read if you find it.
Yeah.
You can actually, you might be able to find it at Dollarama.
Oh, really?
Because I'm pretty sure that's where I found my copy.
For those of you listening in Canada.
That's right. But back to our show here. Maya has rolled in and, she feigns a smile as she approaches, and Wilson, seeing her bruised up face, says, I've seen you after some really tough fights, but I've never seen you like this. And Kazi, he's doing most of the signing.
Yeah.
But Wilson does do some of his own.
I was actually pretty impressed with how much he does do on his own.
Yeah. And he's like, do you want to tell me what's going on? And Maya says, I got carried away, but you know what my father meant to me. And Fisk is like, no, he meant a lot to all of us.
Right.
So even him, kind of playing it off like he knows nothing. But
right.
Maya goes on to say, I've come to my senses. I want to focus on the job and stop chasing ghosts. But I've come to the realization that finding the one who killed him won't change anything, and nothing I do can bring him back.
No.
So, a legitimate come to your senses type thing.
Do you think, though? Because I almost thought that was just she's on Twitch to the notion that he's maybe on to her, and so now she's just kind of doing now's not the time.
Maybe. Because, Wilson, he seems to be showing some genuine concern.
Yeah.
Or quite possibly he's studying, every movement and expression based on what comes next.
Well, I mean, given who that character is, and you cannot look at the Kingpin and not draw parallels to, like you say, Tony Soprano is actually a good example in this case, or Don Corleone. He's always playing an angle, right?
Yeah. Because then she asks him, can I get a couple days off to clear my head? And he says, yeah, it's reasonable. And she turns to leave, but he stops her. And then he looks at her and says, I love you. And he signs it to her. And she holds for just a moment, but she signs it back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, she takes her leave and heads out.
Classic manipulation, if you ask me.
Totally. But once she's out of technically earshot, because she can't really hear anything.
Yeah.
So Fisk lays out all of his current problems, and like Ronan, that there's an Avenger looking into their business. Eleanor thinks she can quit like a normal job, and now Maya has been turned against him.
Yep.
And Kazi, he's just like a yes man. He's like, yep. But he leans right into him. He says, we need to do something to make the people remember just who runs this city.
Right.
What should we do? And we'll find out soon enough. But we're jumping again. And elsewhere, we find Clint and Kate on the subway again. And Kate knows she has to focus on tonight. And Clint remarks, we're going to need a ton of gear, like a whole batch of way too dangerous trick arrows. And then we get a great little montage here of them making some of those new trick arrows. Yeah. So we get to see we're in like a little workshop type deal. And Clint's, he's not just an arrow guy. He does have some skills.
Yeah, he's got some legitimate like science and engineering skills going on here.
Yeah, so he's not completely reliant on a Tony Stark or a Hank Pym for most of those arrows.
I mean, he had to get to start somewhere, so presumably, this is going way back to the origins of the character.
True. But as they're putting together arrowheads, we can see most likely this is Grill's cosplay workshop.
Well, you can't not, assume that given.
Yeah.
We're going to see more of that later on.
We are. But one of the things that pulls out here to kind of confirm that, they've got police grade mace.
Oh, yeah.
That they're going to incorporate into one of them. And, this gives us a little bit more insight into Grill's, firefighter, great chef, LARPer, and possibly mechanically inclined as well.
Yeah.
So we go on to see more arrows get finished up, and Kate starts loading them into the trays, and she's putting labels on them to keep straight which is which. And we see that, we've got a Pym arrow again, so we don't know yet if it's the same one or...
Well, this one's red.
True.
The last one was blue.
Was it blue?
It was blue, yeah, right. Yeah. Well, so,
detail there, because it's a different one.
It's funny, though, because in both... Oh, no, it is the opposite effect, because the last time we saw the arrow deployed...
It made the arrow
It was quite large, yeah.
Crushed the truck.
Yes. The middle one there, that's quite obviously the grapple arrow. It's the same, like the tripod penetrated into the concrete.
Yeah. And funny thing about that one at the bottom there, with the 3 prongs, it really resembles the knockout dart from Triple X.
Oh, yeah, I guess it does, doesn't it?
Hit Xander 3 times. But, we also get the labels that tell us we're going to get an airbag arrow, freeze arrow, a flash bomb, icebreaker. We also...
Conveniently enough.
Yeah. And we also get to see that Clint has been holding back on some of them, and some of them are from Stark.
What do you mean he's been holding back? He would never do that.
Yeah, but he pulls out the case here, and we see probably 4 or 5 different Stark Tech ones that we have not seen yet.
No, you're right.
But we get the whole host of different heads there laid out, and we're ready for action at this point.
Oh, yes.
So as we near a complete set of these arrows, Clint, he asks her, is this a formal thing tonight? And also goes on to tell Kate, you don't have to do this if you don't want to, but that's part of the job. It's always inconvenient. Yeah. It's always lonely, and you will get hurt. But heroes have to make some tough decisions. So if you're going to go through with it, just wants to know, are you ready?
It's almost an extension of the conversation that they had earlier about, you're going to lose stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it seemed to me tonally to be very similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
Is this like I guess, him doing the, are you really sure? When somebody's going to make almost like when you get a buddy who's going to make a bad decision and you kind of do the, are you sure about this?
Yeah, you really
I do. Yeah. Okay.
But, she, instead of just outright saying yes, she relays her perspective on the attack of New York, how she was alone, she was terrified, but then she saw Clint fighting aliens with sticks and string.
Well, I mean, and that's been the sort of the through joke with Clint all along, is just like, he's just a dude.
Yeah.
Just a dude.
And she figured, what, if he can do that, she didn't need to be afraid.
Yeah.
Anybody can be a hero if they're brave enough to do what's necessary, and she's ready.
Yeah.
So from there, we find later on that evening, we find a caravan of the Trusta Bros making their way across the city.
Every time I still chuckle, Trusta Bro.
Yeah, and they lean into it heavy again, this one with all the bros. But
oh my God, yeah, bro.
Yeah, I got you now, bro. We find Ivan in one of the lead trucks, and he's radioing that he's almost in position. And we also see that Kazi has again taken up a sniper position across from the party.
Yeah.
But Tomas will be coming out to the east exits, and Ivan's on the west.
Right.
So we see Kazi glancing down there, and Ivan's radioing in, but elsewhere, shifting again, we find that Kate and Clint, they're rocking some formal wear, and they're making their way to their party, which we can see is being held at 30 Rockefeller Plaza.
Yes.
So once inside, sorry, Clint asks Kate what she sees, and, what are the assets? What are the threats? And the first thing Kate notices is a threat. And lo and behold, it's Gary, who is the same guy from back in episode 1 who blew her cover at the black market auction.
At the auction.
Yeah. So, and, he's back again yelling at the wait staff. So, but then, we're scanning for assets too, and we find out we have those too, and we were right.
Yeah.
We have our friends, the LARPers.
All the LARPers, which I still think, I mean, we know for a fact, like, at least 2 of them are emergency services. So
yeah,
interesting that.
So at least 1 firefighter, 1 police
officer for sure.
Yeah. But, we see that they're all planted throughout the party. We've got Grills, Missy, and Wendy on the party floor. And
good on them for, I mean, I know that there's just not enough time in an episode to like, how did they pull that one off? But I mean, good on them for doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. We even got Orville at the coat check.
Yes.
And then we also find that Jack, he's made good on his promise. He's out and he's at the party.
And sporting a sword.
Yes. Sporting his sword, which is odd, as Clint remarks. He's wielding a sword fresh out of jail for allegedly killing someone with a sword.
Well, I mean, it's not illegal to carry a sword, open carry a sword, I guess.
Probably not.
I'm struggling. Saber, cutlass, I'm not sure.
I think saber.
Saber, I think. Yeah, maybe.
But Kate poses, maybe that's his weird way of proving his innocence. And Clint drops the line, weird flex, but sure.
Yeah.
So there's your internet lingo. Across the street, though, Kazi, he's taking aim and he's scanning the party. And he's making window-to-window rounds, and he doesn't seem to have his target yet. And technically, we're not really clear on who it is.
Yeah, it didn't come across to me either. Like, is it Eleanor? Is it Kate? Is it Clint? Like, who is it?
Well, they say, we're only after the bishop woman. So we can narrow it down to Kate or Eleanor. But we do know that Kingpin is ruthless enough to send a message by eliminating someone close to someone.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
like anybody who may threaten him. So it's completely possible they were aiming for Kate first.
I mean, at this point, I mean, unless there's some off-screen, that off-screen stuff that just happens, unless, oh my God, unless Maya has actually, told Uncle that Clint is actually Ronin, then
Which I don't think she has, but
yeah. I mean, if we didn't see it on screen, doesn't mean it didn't happen, but I don't think it happened either.
yeah. But because based on the earlier conversation, right? He's like, Ronin has showed back up. We've got an Avenger on our tail. Chances are he doesn't know people. It's the same one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But Kate and Clint, they split up to cover more ground, and Yelena she arrives and refuses to check her coat.
Like she doesn't think she's going to be there very long.
Yeah. And Orville, he takes notice, but not action. She just, saunters into the party. And meanwhile, we find out that Eleanor has also arrived at the party in a lavish fur coat. So, she's completely carefree at this point.
Oh, yes.
I mean, running a security company, I guess she would think it's covered.
You would think so.
But, upon entry, Kate is the first one to find her. And she grabs her and, rushes her off. And in doing so, she quickly ruins the shot Cassie was about to take.
Right.
Because we see, she was in sight. And at this point, you can figure out Eleanor is the main target.
Is the target, yeah.
Because he had full chance to blow Kate away right in front of her mom, doing maximum emotional damage.
Yes.
But he didn't do it.
And didn't take the shot.
Yeah. But Kate, once she's got her back in the kitchen, she lays it out that I'm saving your life because your business partner wants you dead. And, her mom, she's still trying to play dumb. She's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, the whole playing dumb thing was just like, come on.
It's like, she was close.
Yeah.
So at some point she would figure it out.
She's been hanging out with an Avenger.
Yeah.
What did you think?
But, Kate pulls out the cell phone video and Eleanor, she goes straight on the offensive. You don't understand. I have everything under control. And just then Jack finds them.
Yeah.
And he's like, a word. But again, we're going to shift gears here. And we find Clint standing by the window, scanning for threats. And Wendy Conrad comes up to report, all clear. But Clint, with his Hawkeye vision, he notices a laser in the glass and, yells out, take down or get down.
Yep.
And taking action, he gets down and narrowly, misses taking a shot from Kazi.
Do we think that the serving tray actually deflected the bullet?
Yes. Because it goes flying.
Yeah, I'll give it to the show because it's based on a comic book property, but like I just see stuff like that and I go, no, just no. Suspension of disbelief. You gotta turn it up a notch here. There we go.
Well, either that or Kazi's just a terrible shot.
Or that's a titanium titanium serving tray.
Mind you, in Triple X, if we're mirroring that one, he did use a serving tray there to block bullets.
Yeah.
Before, surfing it down a railing. But
again, suspension of disbelief.
There you go.
Yep.
But as Clint, he runs the length of the floor, we see Yelena, she's watching from a corner. And at this point, you can pretty much guarantee Kazi is a terrible shot because he's letting loose multiple shots and he's missing every time. Like he's leading them too early and then he's too far behind.
Man, like that's a fairly, given the distance that he's across the street in another building and up a few floors. I mean, but the power on that scope, come on, dude. Like, are you that bad of a shot?
Yeah. Because you don't think he would intentionally miss.
No.
But he continues to fire anyway and relays Barton is here and so is the girl. Christmas came early.
Yeah.
So, they are technically aiming for all three.
Now they are.
Yeah. But back in the kitchen, they start hearing gunshots over the card. So she tells her mom and Jack, stay put. It's too dangerous out there for you. And Eleanor's like, no, you stay here. It's too dangerous for you. And Kate defiantly says, you're the reason it's dangerous out there.
Yep.
So, Eleanor's still in, stay out of this mode. But Kate is like putting her in her place.
That's a bit of an FU moment.
Yeah.
This is your fault.
Yeah. So, she kind of gets stunned a little bit and stays there for a minute as Kate runs out. But then she just turns around and dashes out in a different direction, leaving Jack all by himself. And Jack, he's like, I must be missing something here. So clearly he doesn't know everything.
Yeah, he's way out of the loop.
Yeah. So he doesn't know that Eleanor framed him and all that. But he remarks, it's almost a hero up moment. And he's like, it's showtime.
Well, this is a very interesting turn of events, because I thought that they were legitimately setting him up to be like a 2-bit villain.
Yeah.
Like just a street level riffraffy. And really, they didn't.
No, they did not. If anything, by the end of this, he could be on his way to being an Avenger.
Yeah. An Avenger or a West Coast Avenger.
Maybe. But
it means he'll have to relocate, but
yeah. Back out on the floor, though, we find that the LARPers are trying to they're trying to get people out. And Clint tells them, I'm going to move to a different floor to draw the fire away. But in the commotion, Kate spots Yelena, and instead of contacting Clint, she goes after her. And it leads with some polite banter. And I love this scene. But also, we can point out here they're on the 37th floor.
Yeah.
And that, with this being the final episode of Hawkeye, this could be a callback to Secret Avengers number 37, which was the final issue of that series.
Oh, interesting.
So, possible connection. But
was that a Hawkeye?
It was a Hawkeye-driven,
Hawkeye-centric.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe he was the leader of that team at that point.
Interesting.
And in the final issue, he leaves the team.
Right. To focus on retirement?
Maybe.
Since the very thing he's been trying to do since what?
Ultron.
Ultron.
Yeah. But we find out, not only is Yelena sporting a fantastic hairstyle, but the two young ladies are definitely having a friendship vibe going on here.
Yeah.
And Yelena, she says, I'm not here to ruin the party. I'm just here to kill Clint. Have some appetizers and leave.
Yeah.
And, Kate, she's trying to buy Clint some time, saying, well, you don't know what floor he's on. But then the little blinker goes off, and it's like, oh, look, he's on 12. So, the door opens up, and Yelena, she hops on and tells Kate, no.
Don't do it.
But then, last minute, she jumps on anyway.
It gets better, though.
It does. It so does. And, again, Yelena's trying to keep her out of harm's way. But, she jumps aboard anyway. And you get the distinct impression here, neither one wants to fight.
No.
But on the ride down, Kate looks over and spots the button panel, and you know exactly what she's going to do, because every kid who's ever gotten in an elevator has wanted to do this.
Or you want to piss off a bunch of people. I'm not going to. Okay. So when I was in the military and we're all staying in the same hotel, and it's like, you got to be somewhere in the morning and you just happen to catch the elevator first as you're getting off, hit every button. So on the way back, they're waiting forever.
Yep.
How to be an a-hole without letting anybody know that you were.
Yep.
Do it on the way out.
Yeah. But, Kate goes for it, and lightning fast, Yelena, she slaps her hand away like a parent, says,
oh,
no.
Yeah. Down.
Yeah. But then it escalates pretty quick back and forth here, and we get move for move until finally Kate smacks Yelena in the face, and that pauses her for a minute. She's like, what was that? And
the look of shock.
Yeah. And Kate, she responds with a sheepish, I don't know, before going for the buttons again. But this time, Yelena starts pulling back, and the black dress, it gives way, and we get our big costume reveal that technically has already been revealed with the new Kate Bishop Hawkeye suit.
Yeah, the whole marketing for the show, I mean, they kind of led with that.
They did.
And sure, save it to the last episode. I get it. But it's just like, why reveal it at all then?
Yeah. But
minor complaint, but still just a weird choice.
Yeah. But, once the dress is off, Yelena asks, did you plan that? And with a quick response, she's like, yes. But then she's like, no, I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then, momentary distraction, Kate hits all the buttons. And Yelena, she's like, you're so annoying. She then ditches her coat and calls Kate a suka before departing the next floor with Kate in pursuit. Now, I did some digging, and side note here, the Russian word suka translates to bitch in English. So they snuck that one in there.
Nice.
So
hey, you can still get one F-bomb in a PG-13.
Yeah, true. But back on the party floor, we find the rich folks are completely ignoring the direction of the LARPers, and they're just running every which way. And outside, Kazi informs the rest that the tracksuits that, targets are coming your way.
Yeah.
And Ivan responds with a red one in position. So maybe he's a Star Wars fan?
Maybe. Or I don't know, the red tracksuit? I don't know.
Maybe. But they're all red tracksuits. So I guess he is the number one of them.
I guess so, yeah.
So it could
number
work on
one under Kazi.
Yeah.
Sure.
But we get a quick flash through Orville finding nobody in the kitchen, and Kate's mom's gone. And then we jump down, and Clint, he's getting his gear on the 12th floor, and then we're right back following Yelena and Kate as they battle across the floor they're on.
Yeah.
And this is shot in such a fantastic way because it pans across room to room to room as they go. And one more time, Kate, she tries to talk her down. It's like, what are we doing here? It's Christmas Eve.
Yeah, as they like, I haven't decided, like, because it's hard to tell. Is it an apartment building? Is it an office building? Like, is it office floors? Like,
I would think
residential?
It's a multiple use building.
Well, that's what I thought too. Because at one point it's like, is that guy just working late, or is that his home computer? Like,
I think it's multiple, like offices on one floor.
Yeah.
But she's like, let's get a drink, and Yelena, she replies, sure, but after I kill Barton.
Right.
And Kate's like, no, that's not what you want to do. And before she can get any more words out, Yelena kicks her and knocks her right out of the way. And they continue to fight across the building. And we switch again to the 12th floor, finding Clint. And this part kind of bugs me because he's opening a window. So I don't know how old this building is, but would the window still open on the 12th floor?
That's a great question. I mean, maybe. I mean, I don't know the age of that building.
Yeah.
So, I mean, anybody out there who knows sort of the history of that building could probably better. But I would think that would be like a major safety concern. Like,
yeah, modern hotels do not have.
Yeah, they don't. Windows. Yeah, not like that.
No. But, that aside, the whole thing plays out pretty quick. And Clint, he finds the shooter, takes aim, and he lets loose a recharged gas arrow.
Yep.
Which fills the room up, and Kazi has to bail out.
More purple.
Yeah, more purple. But back on the higher floor, Kate and Yelena, they're still trading blows across the floor until they finally reach the side of the building. And Yelena, she tries to break the window out with a baton.
Yeah.
But Kate, she flings something at her that she's picked up off one of the desks, knocking the baton out of her hand and inadvertently breaking the window as well.
Was that the... No, that's not that. Okay.
No, it looked like almost a set of bolo balls or something.
Oh,
so
maybe.
It could have been like two Christmas decorations on a string.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
She whips it at her.
Yeah.
And then poor Yelena, she's like, ouch, that really hurt.
Yeah.
And, they get stopped again, and they're getting into some banter, and Kate says, well, that kick really hurt. And then they start trading compliments. Well, you had that really nice throw, and you had some good moves. And Kate finally says,
it's almost like, a couple of high school girls, like they're both trying to, like, one is the head cheerleader and the other one's the new girl on the squad.
Yeah, maybe. But, Kate, she finally says what we're all thinking out loud, and she's like, stop making me like you.
Yeah.
And Yelena just says, sorry, I can't help it. But this was really fun. And then, that same hook and line again, out the window she goes.
Yep.
Side note here, though, the corporate artwork on the walls there, it can be yours if you so want it.
Oh, do tell.
If you go to the website sedgwickandbrattle.com, you can purchase these corporate art pieces. I'm not fully sure who the artist is, but they're titled Organic Lines 1 and 2, respectively.
And I bet you because they've been using a Marvel thing, now they're probably considerably more expensive.
Possibly in higher demand, I don't know. But,
maybe.
If you want them, you can get them now.
Well, the secret's out now.
Yeah.
Way to go, man.
Google Lens helped me on that one.
Oh, excellent.
But back on the building, Yelena, she's basically running down the building.
Yeah.
And Kate is left staring outside at her.
Yes.
And the hell of a drop from up there. But Kate radios down to Clint that, it's Yelena. And he gets the message just in time for her to go flying past the window. And she's about to lay one in him. And he ducks. She misses, but she turns and, like, digs her heels in and slides down the mess,
Yes.
still shooting.
I've done some rappelling before in my life, and every time I see that, like the Aussie style face forward, I kind of, it just makes me kind of, nope, can't do it.
Yeah. But once Yelena hits the ground, Kate figures out, quickest way down is to follow her, and she has to face that scary situation. So she lines up and, being brave, she follows suit, screaming all the way down.
Oh, with nothing more than a shoelace, by the way.
Basically, yeah. But she slows herself the same way that Yelena did, just in time to, safely hit the ground. And Clint calls out, see if she's all right. She's like, yep, but the tracksuits are here.
Yeah.
So Clint, he grabs a handful of arrows and he steps off to make his move. And below the tracksuits, they're pretty quick. They engage Kate, and she dispatches a couple of them, but she locks up with Tomas, and he tells her, I know it's not the best time, but I wanted to thank you. And, for her advice, he talked it over with his girlfriend, and it worked. They went to a Maroon 5 concert, and everything went great. And
Kate, who was it that they had tickets for? It was somebody else.
It was Imagine Dragons.
Yeah, Imagine Dragons, but instead they go to Maroon 5.
Yeah. But, she's like, oh, that's great. That worked out. But what's with the gun? And he's like, I'm sorry. But before he can get any more out, she kicks him in the gut.
Yeah.
And, knocks him down, and he's like, thank you. So, they've really humanized him. But I think that's an effect of Kate, because multiple times throughout the show, she's engaged with the villains on a more human level.
It's very disarming.
Yeah. And she makes them more likable. So,
Well, she still sees a person, I think, and not just a bad guy.
Not just a hired goon.
Right.
But
except her mom.
Well, yeah.
Mom's on the big the poopy list.
Yeah. It's because mom doesn't listen.
Well,
but more tracksuits arrive, and true to form, one of the guys, he's like, I got you, bro. And before he can do that, out of nowhere, a sword knocks the gun out of his hand, and we find that it's Jack. And now that creepy smile, it isn't so creepy anymore.
No, it makes sense now.
And he's like, hey, sweetie. And, they exchange some stories, and neither one knows where Eleanor is.
I was just going to say, wasn't there a moment where there's like that, I'm sorry, but it's like in the middle of like disarming people and fighting people?
Yeah. And, his swordplay is on full display. So we can't write off that we'll never see him suit up as a swordsman at some point, but
he's pretty good.
He is.
He's the weirdo that brought a knife to a gunfight.
That's right.
And he did all right.
He did. But back on the 12th floor, we see tracksuits are making their way in, and Clint, he's been placing little devices all over the place.
Yeah.
And he's got the trigger on his bow, and as he's got his thumb on it, he gets blindsided by Kazi. And more tracksuits converge, but he manages to throw Kazi off long enough to trigger those explosives.
I have to say that I was not a big fan of this whole sequence where suddenly, because we had that whole sequence where they escaped. And Clint was far superior in his mono to pretty much everybody, and now suddenly Kazi can fight on on an Avenger level. You know what I mean? Like
maybe because he does dispatch him pretty quick.
Well, he does, but it's just like, come on,
Kazi. He's like, this is gonna be fun, and Clint, he hits that button. And as they're squaring off, in the background, the other tracksuits are buried by a bunch of rubble.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if maybe this is like a utility level or if it's just not done.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Leaning into that, every floor is something different.
But, yeah.
Pretty quick though, Clint knocks him out, and he gets him knocked out just as more tracksuits are arriving, and they open fire down the hall, which causes him to flee and leap out the window onto that line. But that line, I guess, has been used too much now because it snaps. Yeah,
and I mean, is he wearing a glove there?
He is wearing a glove there.
Good for him, because I'm thinking, my God, that's going to hurt.
Yeah. But, not that it does him much good, because once it snaps, we see him falling, and he lands in the Rockefeller Christmas tree. And, at least he's got some cover in there.
Well, it was funny.
Yeah. Kind of a Die Hard moment.
Almost. Yeah.
But we get a little bit of foreshadowing here because inside the tree, Clint, he shares a moment with a little owl
Yeah.
in the tree, and the owl hoots at him, and he responds back, "Hey." But down below, Kate, she's still holding her own with the tracksuits, and in earlier episodes, they didn't really hint at it, but they just keep coming. So like, there's a never-ending supply of them.
It's almost like stormtroopers.
A little bit,
yeah.
But Kate, she asks, where are you? Eddie tells her, I'm in the tree. She's like, what tree?
Yeah, what?
He's like, the tree. So Kate runs into the LARPers, and she's like, where's my gear? And she gets it, and she tells them, get the civilians clear of the area. And with a plan in motion, everybody goes their separate ways. And still, the rich folks, they're not listening. So Grills, he's like, it's time.
Oh, this is the they get their little suit up moment.
They do.
Which is kind of cute, I guess.
Yeah. So
because what's more authoritative than a waiter?
That's right. Because like, really, they all have their EMS training and whatnot. They should be able to command the crowds a bit better than they are. But as we see with Grills, in a little bit with I think it's Armand the 7th.
Yeah.
The rich folks don't really adhere to authority.
No. Yeah. The whole
they need that extra level.
Well, that does make sense now when you put it that way. The aristocracy versus the hired help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But across town, we find Maya in her apartment, and she's packing for a quick exit, and she grabs the essentials, and she leaves behind a photo of her father, but she picks up one of her, Kazi, and her dad.
Yeah.
And we're only with Maya a brief moment here, like long enough to ponder on the photo before we're back at the Rockefeller Center.
I had asked in an earlier episode what your thoughts were. Did we think there was something more going on between them romantically? And I mean, this episode
kind of hints at
does suggest that there is more between them.
Yeah. But, I think it's more on her end than his.
Yeah, maybe.
Just based on his actions.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
That whole when the truth comes out.
Yeah. But back at Rockefeller Center, though, we get more trucks arriving, and tracksuits are just pouring out of them. And we get a really great nod here to the 1988 film Big, because we find that Kate has thrown a window through the upper window of FAO Schwartz, which is the same company that Tom Hanks and Robert Loggia did the dance on, giant floor piano. Yeah. And, she briefly steps on it before dispatching a couple more members of the tracksuits.
Nice.
And, she takes them out, and Clint, he's like, where's our backup? And then, we get the LARPers returning in their new suits. And
I mean, I don't know about you, but I just see like 4, second-rate Asgardians.
Maybe. Yeah. So, they're looking as epic as can be.
They're budget Asgardians.
Maybe. But Clint, he snickers, we're all going to die. So, fun thing here. Well, not really fun, but a minor continuity error. If you watch closely,
sure.
You will see Orville on the right there. He'll come out from the pillar twice.
Oh.
So as Clint's looking down, he comes out, but then you go down to ground level and he comes out again.
He's coming out again. Oh.
So minor continuity error, but
maybe he had to go and adjust his costume.
Maybe. But, turns out the suits are enough, because the rich folks, they're finally starting to clue in and take directions. And the LARPers,
because they look like Asgardians.
Yeah.
You'd take Thor seriously if he told you to do something.
Probably. But even the LARPers, they get their moment too. They're taking out a couple of the tracksuits.
Yeah.
And then, we see Grills running across with Armand the 7th, and he's like, put me down. He's like, shut up. I'm trying to save your life.
Yep.
But, Kate, she says, I need to get you out of the tree. You want me to count down or just go? And he's like, don't do anything stupid.
Yeah.
And then she just takes out the guide wires and then throws the acid arrow at the trunk. And, soon enough, timber, down comes the tree, and Clint goes skidding across the ice.
Well, I mean, yeah, I had to remember Rambo, or the first Blood, the original First Blood.
Yeah.
I had visions of John Rambo falling through the trees.
Maybe.
But, he came out of it okay.
Yeah, well, he's wearing something underneath. So,
wow. Yeah, and it fits so nice.
It does. So, Clint skidding across the ice, and seemingly out of nowhere, we get hordes of tracksuits around the ice rink. And there's way more than we were led to believe.
Almost reminds you of the scene of Kill Bill with the crazy idiots.
Yes.
Yeah.
She dispatches the first batch.
They just keep pouring through.
I just watched that the other night again. Love that movie. But, Clint, he's surrounded and he goes to draw an arrow and one goes whizzing past him. And here comes Kate doing her best Macaulay Culkin on the ice impression as she's sliding across on her knees and she's letting loose arrow after arrow after arrow. And once she reaches the middle with Clint, they realize, we're still out in the open. We need to get out of here. But Clint, he launches the electromagnetic arrow, which pretty quickly disarms the tracksuits of various weapons.
I quite liked that one. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things going on in this one that I like, arrow-wise, I mean. Yeah,
this one's got a heck of a charge, too, because we can see the tracksuits. They're trying to pull their stuff down, and they're failing.
Just not able to do that.
Must be hell of a pull on it. But Clint says, that should buy us a couple minutes. And from there, we get our next reveal of sorts because we find out that Clint is wearing his new costume as well.
Why, yes, he is.
And Kate, she's ecstatic that he's worn it and, praises it looks so good. But we also notice it's a lot closer to his comic book, his modern.
His modern look for sure.
Comic book counterpart. They realize that the only way off the ice is to go up the stairs. And Kate notices, she makes note, there's thousands of them and only 2 of us. But Clint, he passes her a handful of those really dangerous arrows.
Yeah.
And Kate gets hurt. Is it time? And Clint's like, it's time.
It's time.
So we do get a barrage of trick arrows here. And we see a blinding light one. We get a variant on the gas arrow with orange gas. So
I think that's the pepper spray.
It could be.
Yeah.
But we also get an electric binding arrow, a pin launching arrow.
That one we see a couple of times, and I'm like, that's super effective.
Yeah. Painful and lethal.
Yeah.
But
isn't that the one that they what you saw Kate earlier when they were making the weapons and she was dipping them in the tranquilizer?
No, I think that's the next arrow here at the bottom with the tranquilizer darts.
Yeah.
And then we even get a rocket powered grappling hook one.
Oh, that one was cool too.
Bastard into the air.
Never to be seen again.
Yeah. So we don't know how much juice it's got and how high he went, but
nope. He's somewhere over New Jersey right about now.
Mm-hmm. We also get our hero moment as Clint and Kate square off against the seemingly never-ending supply of tracksuits.
Yeah.
And, there's your promo shot right there.
Oh, big time.
Back-to-back, firing it off.
That's your splash page.
Yeah. But this scene here is really reminiscent of the scene during the Battle of New York when the Avengers first come together.
Isn't it, though?
Yeah. But we get a couple more trick arrows, including that inflatable airbag one, another concussion blast one, and finally we get that second Pym arrow. And, she lands it in the front grill of that Trustabro truck that's been driven over the edge at them. And before they can figure out what to do next, Clint, he's like, I'll have to talk to Scott and see what happens.
Yeah, because she's like, how long does that last for?
But the friendly little owl, he appears and carries off the truck to who knows where. So
there's a one-off or a post-credit scene somewhere to tell us their fate.
Well, depending who got shrunk. I mean, this could at least be a very little Honey, I Shrunk the Tracksuit sort.
Seriously,
that
would be so funny.
The adventures of mini tracksuits.
We'll see them in another movie somewhere coming back and
just driving along somewhere.
Yeah, really.
But tracksuits are down. We get word from the LARPers that Eleanor's just come out of the side door, and with Clint's blessing, she rushes off to find him. And we think Clint is left to deal with Kazi, who appears with 2 more goons.
Yeah.
But from behind, excuse me, Yelena, she reappears and takes Barton out.
Right.
But at the same time, need water at some point.
Yeah.
Where's Hank when you need him? At the same time, Maya, she shows up on her bike, taking out the 2 goons, and then she's set to square off with Kazi. And, he tells her, you should have left town, but you know what I have to do. And, you know, kind of implying he's got his marching orders from the Kingpin. And
yeah, like he has no choice.
Yeah. But before Yelena kills Barton, as we switch gears again, she needs to know what happened. And Clint tells her, you know, you wouldn't believe me if I really told you what happened.
Which, and again, as we've said before, the general public has no idea what happened to Natasha and how she
died on
met her
Vormir.
demise. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But he tells her, you know, all you need to know is that Natasha sacrificed
yeah.
herself to save the world.
That's right. Yeah.
And, you know, you can see it in her eyes here, the rage building.
You know, there's a whole lot going on here emotionally, and I've talked about it before about Clint's survivor guilt. And, you know, I watching the episode, and I've said all along, Clint has wanted to, the whole Ronin thing, he was just waiting for, you know, till someone bigger, badder than him took him out, and then it would just end everything.
Yeah.
I actually thought, you know, he was getting back to that, to being on the edge in this sequence, where it was like he was going to lay it all out in the line. And if she had decided to kill him anyway, I don't think he was going to do anything to stop her.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, she refuses to believe him, and she launches into her attack. And we cut across again, and we find, you know, Kazi and Maya are going at it.
Yep.
But she clearly has the upper hand, and she doesn't want to leave, or she doesn't want to kill him.
No.
She's like, I want to leave it all behind, but I want you to come with me.
There's the sort of the on the nose part about the, you know, the possible romance connection.
Yeah. And it's definitely from her.
Yeah.
But instead, he unloads on her all his anger and resentment that, you know, it was supposed to be him. This is his life. It wasn't supposed to be her.
Right.
And then, you know, he pleads with her again, don't make me do this.
Yeah.
Implying that, you know, he still thinks he has a chance against her. But
Yep.
We shift scenes again, and we catch up with Eleanor, who's about to get away in her vehicle. But once she's inside, you know, the driver's already dead. And we see the Kingpin rip the door right off.
Well, and isn't that a very Kingpin thing to do?
Totally is. So, you know, he tells her, don't leave. And just before he drags her out of the car, Kate arrives and takes aim. He's like, what are you going to do with that? And she lands it right square in the chest.
I mean, that is, I mean,
like,
if that's deep enough, that's to the heart, man.
Yeah. And she sunk it in deep, but he just brushes it off like nothing.
Doesn't he snap it off with his cane or something?
He does.
Yeah. And just keeps going.
Yeah. And, you know, she launches a second arrow at him, this one with a tether line, but he catches it midair and gives it a yank and sends Kate to the ground.
Well, I mean, after the man takes an arrow right to the chest and just kind of keeps going like it's nothing, that's where I kind of go like, pucker factor 45.
Yeah.
I might be in trouble now.
But, you know, he removes his coat and he starts moving forward. And out of nowhere, Eleanor hits him with the car, sending him back into the FAO Schwartz building. And, you know.
Okay, I mean, she's still her mom, so.
Yeah, so she wants to save her, but that's a pretty quiet car.
Maybe it was electric.
Maybe.
It is 2021, you know.
Well, in the show, it's 2024.
Yeah, so maybe there's even more chance it's electric.
Yep. But we shift gears again, and back around the corner, Kazi, he's continuing to tell Maya leave. But she's insisting, you should come with me. If you're brave enough, go with me.
Right.
But Kazi says he won't let me. So implying,
yeah, I mean, Uncle.
He's in the pocket of the Kingpin. And
yeah.
It feels like he doesn't want out.
No, I think there's that whole tropes, we've seen them before about, you know, being trapped in the gang life.
Yeah.
But then there's the willful want to stay in it. And I don't know exactly where he fits in there, if he's even remotely interested in trying to get away, or if he just feels like even if he did go, the Kingpin would catch up with him. And
yeah.
So why bother?
It's quite possible. But, you know, resistant to that notion, Kazi grabs an arrow and charges, but he's no match for her.
No.
You know, one swift move, she quickly turns the tables, and Kazi takes it to the chest. And as he goes down, Maya finds herself in a similar scenario like she did with her father on his deathbed.
Yeah.
You know, hand to the face. And but again, she's told leave. Because
it's like almost the same. Yeah.
And now Kazi's saying, you know, go. But this time it's because Fisk is coming for you.
Yeah. Different motivation there.
You know, there's still some concern on his part. So who knows how much of it, like romantically, was reciprocal, but
I don't know.
may never know because we don't exactly find out if he's dead or not. But
Some people have a really twisted sense of love, right? So,
it's true.
I mean, I personally got the vibe that there was a romance thing there that was just sort of maybe just under the surface. The photograph suggests, although I mean, it could be like a brother sister shot, big brother with his arm around little sister, but it didn't feel that way to me, and
No.
I can't describe why, but it
Yeah.
just felt like more.
Yeah. But we shift again, and we're back at the toy store. And
Yep.
Fisk, he's already back up after being hit by a car through a wall. And we turn and see that Eleanor, she's unconscious behind the wheel. So he goes to move in on her, and Kate, she blocks the way. And he looks at her and he says, you're in over your head. And he knocks her down, but she lets loose one of these trick arrows, and it's like a little electric spider web. I
was
guess.
going to say that it's like the Spider-Man arrow.
Yeah. And that seals them both inside,
Yeah.
So they're stuck there now. And we shift gears again back to Elena and Clint, and he continues to try and tell her, no one killed Natasha. She sacrificed herself.
Yeah.
But she still won't hear it. And, they're still going at it. We shift again back to the toy store, and Kate won't stay down. And at one point, Kingpin grabs her and tosses her across the room and gets a hold of her quiver.
Yeah.
And he proceeds to smash
all
the arrows.
Just
snaps them in half.
You ever got make spaghetti for dinner and you pull a bunch out of the thing and just break it in half, throw it in the pot? Kind of like that.
Yeah. But he yells at her, mind your own business. And like we were led to believe these are special arrow shafts, right? Like some
like they're not just
fiber.
like they're not carbon fiber or something. They're probably some like crazy Marvel metal that we don't know about.
Yeah. But he snaps them in half, no problem, and a bundle of them at the same time too.
Yeah. Right?
So back down to the ice, Yelena, she questions, why would Natasha sacrifice herself for you? What makes you worth it? And he says, I'm not.
I expected to be more of this line because the first thing my mind was like, she did it for everyone, not just, you didn't do it for me. She did it for everybody.
Yeah. But there's that survivor guilt, right?
Well, there is that.
And, she says, I didn't let her do it. I fought her for it, but she fought harder. And I couldn't stop her. And, Yelena, she's still unaccepting of this. And
that whole notion that, she was the best of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Yelena, she pulls out her baton and she begins to beat Clint unmercifully. And like, we leave him there for a minute and we go back to the toy store where Kate, she's continuing to fight. And Fisk, he tells her, you're really starting to annoy me. But in their last go round, she's gotten a hold of one of those cufflinks. And yes, it is the same cufflink
yeah.
from earlier in this series and previously on the Netflix Daredevil show.
That's right.
And she launches that across the room
with the trick shot.
Yep.
Ta-ding.
And she lobs it in there, triggering a handful of those broken arrows, including the really dangerous arrow.
Yep.
And the resulting explosion, it sends Kingpin just flying. And, you can see him kind of caught in it there and flying across the room. But for the first time, he seems to be down and out.
Well, I actually thought, for a second, I'm like, okay, that's a pretty big explosion. Are they like, is this a one and done? Like they're done with this character? Like he's not coming back? But then
we find out, no, he will be.
We move a little further down the episode and
we'll find out different.
Yeah.
But, with Kingpin down for the moment, Kate finally has a moment to catch her breath and she rushes out to check on her mom. And her mom is still trying to gloss over everything.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Everything's under control. It'll go back to normal. I was just trying to protect you. And she's like, but you murdered Armand.
Right.
And she's like, well, somebody had to clean up the mess. And, like that's still she's trying to.
What mess? What mess was there? Like go back to the first episode and what was wrong?
Well, she's referring to the mess of her father getting in debt to the Kingpin.
I guess.
And that just took her down that road. But,
So wait, are we saying that Eleanor's murder of Armand puts Jack in a position to inherit the fortune so she can siphon it off to get out of debt with the Kingpin?
Well, no, she says she's already paid him back like 10 times over.
Well, then again, so why?
That part we don't know.
So then that tells me that Armand directly had a beef with the Kingpin, or vice versa.
Quite possibly.
Sure.
Or Armand knew she was dealing with him.
Well, maybe.
And that's what the argument was over.
Okay.
So, but, you know.
Probably something, a plot line that we will never get a resolution to, really.
Quite possibly, yeah.
I don't think we will.
But, you know, the police arrive and they tell Eleanor she's under arrest for the murder of Armand. And I think they might have cut a scene here.
Okay.
Because it is the detective that was supposed to speak with Kate.
Right.
But she didn't really feed him that information. Right.
Oh, right.
Because we kind of jumped straight from reveal from Yelena on the video image straight into the events of today. But
oh yeah,
I mean, through the LARPers, maybe they contacted the right people.
Sure, maybe.
So
well, what's her name that brought the bag? She is a police officer.
Yeah, Wendy Conrad.
That's right, yeah.
But you know, ever the manipulator, Eleanor questions her. She's like, is this what heroes do? You know, have their mothers arrested on Christmas?
I was waiting for her to say yes.
I was waiting for that too, but
yes,
we do. She just says, you know, I'm sorry, I love you.
Yeah.
And then Eleanor is led away, and you know, rightfully so, because technically now Kate is the one cleaning up the mess.
Yeah, I guess she is, isn't she?
Yeah. But back down on the ice, you know, Yelena, she's finally had her fill of beating on Clint with that baton, and she pulls out a pistol to end it. And just as she's about to do it, he gives the secret whistle.
Does he start it, or does she?
He starts it.
He started it.
Yeah.
Okay. Because at first I'm like, oh, the whistle. I'm like, is she doing that as like a nod to her sister? Like, I'm killing him for you?
Maybe.
And then he answers it?
No, I think he did it just to say, you know, I did know her. I did love her.
Yeah.
And she let me in on that part of her life.
It really changes sort of the...
Because
I guess it doesn't really change a whole lot, but I thought she was the one that started it and he answered it. But I could be wrong. Maybe I'll go back and rewatch it.
Yeah. But, you know, the whistle happens and she stops dead in her tracks.
Yeah.
And she's stunned, and she's like, because she says, how do you know that?
Yeah, exactly.
And Clint goes on to tell her, you know, Natasha talked about you all the time. She loved you and she always wanted you to be safe. And Yelena, she starts pondering, you know, if I'd have been there, maybe I could have stopped her. But Clint's like, no, you couldn't have. You know, Natasha. And then they both admit, you know, I loved her. I loved her a lot. And they kind of make peace. And there's an unspoken forgiveness in this scene here where, you know, tears are shed and they kind of resolve the whole thing.
I think there's a way for him to, you know, put down the baggage, as it were, you know? Yeah.
And they can both move forward now. But Yelena, she makes her exit and leaves Clint alone on the ice. And again, we're going to shift gears because we jump back over the toy store and we find that the police are looking around and they find no one. Kingpin is up and gone.
We get that camera pans over the spot in the floor, and the floor is remarkably white.
Yep. But,
and not because of his jacket.
That's right.
It's just gone.
But we catch up to him in a back alley, and he's looking a little bit worse for wear, kind of stumbling.
As he's huffing and puffing.
Yeah. So, you know, he's been taken down a peg. But some headlights pull up in front of him, and we see it's Maya, and she gets out. And we get this almost angelic visual as she walks towards him. Like
the way she's backlit.
Yeah. Or just like the glare of it. Like she's got a halo.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe they're subliminally telling us that now she's on the side of the angels, but
maybe,
you know, Kingpin, he breathes a sigh of relief, but you know, only for a moment, because he sees, you know, she's holding a gun. And this moment here is a direct reference to the ending of Daredevil Volume 2, number 15.
Okay.
Where Maya confronts him and shoots him.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, here in the Hawkeye show, though, he pleads, you know, we're family, and sometimes family doesn't see eye to eye.
Right.
But then the camera pans up and we hear the shot go off camera. And we're wondering, you know, is that it?
Yeah. Did she? I mean, clearly she pulled the trigger.
She did. And that close range, she had to do some damage.
Well, yeah. And I mean, then therein lies is this a one and done for the Kingpin? Like, did they just bring him in to say, yay, he's part of the MCU, and now he's dead?
Well, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Because if it follows the comics at all, it could wind up just like the final page of that Daredevil issue, where we find Fisk did survive, but he's now blind.
Oh.
So...
good Lord. Let's just... Hero and arch enemy are now have the same handicap.
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
But, he's a rich dude. So,
And when I say that, I am referring to Daredevil. I mean,
yeah.
both being blind.
Yeah.
Oh,
Kind of ironic.
Isn't it though?
But, that's a possible route they could take it. So,
well,
where
I mean,
I'm guessing we're going to see him come up in the Echo series.
For anybody who's and everybody who saw the Spider-Man and its opening week already knows kind of where it could go. I know you haven't seen it yet, so I don't want to say too much.
That's all good.
But Kevin Feige did say that if Daredevil were to turn up in the MCU, he would be played by Charlie Cox. So it's all but saying that at some point you're going to see him, and of course, Daredevil and the Kingpin are arch enemies. So if you're going to bring one back, you might as well have everybody.
Well, he was a Spider-Man villain before he was a Daredevil villain.
That is true. Yes,
they can share villains,
as they often do.
But back in the square, the police and the EMS, they've all arrived and everything's getting sorted out. And we get a really quick back and forth between Wendy and Jack. And based on his swordsmanship, she kind of postures, you ever heard of LARPing? He's like, what is that, a leisure activity? And she's like, well, I have a guild, and you'd be a good fit.
Guess who's going to be making his costume?
Yeah.
And guess what it's going to look like?
Yep. We also see Missy Grills and Orville, and they're trying to explain to the cops, we're working with Hawkeye. We're practically Avengers.
We're really Avengers.
Yeah. And we just want to make sure you arrest the right people.
That's right.
But Clint and Kate, they're in the back of an ambulance there sitting, and they share a moment here, and he tells her, every now and again you come across somebody who makes you be a better person. And then he jokingly says, that Missy, she was right on spot with this costume. And she's like, oh, shut up. And, but then he goes on, he's like, I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
You went toe to toe with the Kingpin and you walked away, and not many people can do that.
No.
So,
do they have the thing about how the fabric moves is that in this scene? Talking about the suits and how it moves, and then they just kind of
yeah,
they have that little moment. That's funny.
Yeah. But we end our night there, and the next morning we find a vehicle rolling up on the Barton home, and Clint has done it. He has made it home for Christmas.
And even managed to get presents in the process.
That's right. But he's not alone. And as he's unloading the presents, he's like, you coming? And from around the corner, we see Kate and now fully named Lucky, the pizza dog.
Yes, I caught that. Come on, Lucky.
Yeah, along for the ride. Yeah. So after some introductions and hugs and whatnot, Clint passes the watch to Laura, and she turns it over for the reveal. And
it's so good when they do that too, with the inscription on it.
Yeah. So the Shield logo with the number 19. And in the comics, Agent 19 was Bobby Morse.
Yeah.
AKA Mockingbird.
Mockingbird.
So this leaves us with a new question. Did they just erase Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. from the canon?
Well, whether they did or didn't is irrelevant to me, because I just think if you never watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and just focused on the existing, just the film properties, and now, of course, the new Disney Plus TV shows, when we first meet Laura and the kids, and how they talk about there's some exposition about how Fury set it up for them.
Yeah,
it's perfect that of course he set it up for them. She's a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent too.
Well, there's a line in that movie where Robert Downey Jr. walks in. He's like, "This is an agent thing." So if you go back and rewatch that, he does say it right at the beginning.
It's true.
But,
how perfect though. I'd like, of course, that she was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. How else could she be so understanding and so
in all the stuff
in everything? Plus the suddenly we're speaking German. Yeah.
But anyway,
nobody. I understand better than anybody. Oh well, now we know why.
Yeah. She's had to pull a trigger or two in her.
Yes.
So Clint, he looks across and he says, "Kate, can you come help me with something?" And they go outside and they go to burn the Ronin suit. And, he's like, help me finish off what you technically started.
Yeah.
As the suit burns, she starts bouncing names off him. She's like, well, what do you think of Lady Hawk?
Oh, yeah.
He's like, that's terrible. And then she's
a great movie, by the way. I love Lady Hawk.
And then she's like, what about Hawk Eve and Hawkshot or Lady Arrow? And he's like, those are all terrible.
They are.
but he's got an idea what it could be. And instead of him actually dubbing her Hawkeye,
We just cut the credits.
we snapped the credits.
Yeah.
So there's our episode. But Marvel added a little treat in the credits with the full Save the City musical scene from Rogers the Musical.
This has been gaining some discussion sort of online in the fan community over the last week, and about, was this a waste of a post-credit scene when, the expectation is that every Marvel post-credit scene's got to set up something else.
Well, maybe this is just setting up
Rogers the Musical as a Broadway production.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's entirely possible.
There's entirely an audience out there for that.
I take it for what it is, and I said it actually today as I was chatting about it online. I said that, I accept it for what it is, that it's something that most of us or most of the fan community would just write off as comedy because that's the way it's played in the episode. But like, you realize how much effort
goes into that
to creating a musical number, which is essentially a throwaway.
Yeah.
Like, why would you waste that? I'm actually quite happy that we got to see the full musical number. I thought this is great.
Yeah. So not only did they release like the audio version on YouTube,
right.
In the credits, you get the whole start to finish
whole
scene.
Thing. So we're watching it, and they cut to a particular guy in the audience twice, the same guy, and he was just elated, like he was your like super fan or whatever. But I kept saying to Kim as we were watching, I said, wouldn't it be great if the camera panned out to the audience and Steve and Peggy were sitting there watching it?
Oh, that would.
Do you know what I mean? Like, people just would have lost their minds, myself included.
Well, unfortunately, that couldn't happen now, though, because Peggy died in Civil War, right?
Oh, right.
So Steve could have possibly been
Steve could have been there watching it, right?
Peggy would have been a no-show for sure.
Oh, you're right.
Sorry to crush your bubble.
Thanks, man. Brought me back to reality.
Yeah. Christmas is over. No more presents.
As we're talking about this fantasy stuff, you brought me back to reality. Thank you so much. Oh my God. Okay, so that's it. That's a wrap on our series On Target, our 5-part review series on Marvel Studios Hawkeye.
Yeah, all 6 episodes done.
What'd you think?
I liked it. Of all the series, it was a fast-paced series. It's got rewatchability.
I think so. I mean, even if you just, if you hauled it out like Christmas Vacation and just watched it around the holidays, do you know what I mean? It'd be a nice way to, nothing's going on Christmas Day, I'm just going to binge watch Hawkeye.
Yeah, it's a good Christmas 3-hour movie.
Do you think that there's
a 6-hour movie? I guess it would be.
Is there a chance for another television property to come out of this besides what we already know is coming with Echo?
I think he'd get away with a season 2 of Hawkeye,
where Kate is now the lead.
With Kate in lead, and maybe you could bring back Tony Dalton as Jack, and he could take on like a mentor role as he did for Clint in the comics.
Sure. To Kate.
She could up her sword game, and
that would be an interesting way to do it. I personally feel like this is part of our, I guess, road to Young Avengers.
Yeah.
Or possibly West Coast. I don't know, but
it's all on the road to Secret War. So.
Well, yeah, that's Secret War, Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's it. I thought it was good. Certainly it's got people talking, myself included, the two of us, obviously, and Hank, wherever you are in the world tonight. I hope you'll add to that conversation as we go forward. But that's it for Hawkeye. So what's up next, my man?
Next up, we have the Book of Boba Fandom.
And if you're watching live right now, that's in
2 days.
2 days.
That will be airing on Disney Plus.
Hopefully, we'll be past our. Oh my gosh, what night is New Year's Eve, man?
Friday or Saturday.
Friday or Saturday. Oh, so we could be doing the show hungover.
Maybe.
We could be doing the show hungover, or at least me anyway. I know you don't drink anymore, so good for you, by the way.
Friday night. It is
Friday night. So then we should be recovered by then and well good to go.
Yeah.
All right. So we're back next week or later this week with our first installment of the Book of Boba Fandom. And as always, there is lots more coming from us here at Fandom Power. So once again, I'm Wes.
I'm Andy.
And we'll talk to you later.
Happy New Year, folks.
Bye for now.